kind of used to climbing on things, like a little spider monkey. Hey, guys. We don't have this up here. So I thought, excuse me, how awkward that was. There we go. So I thought that we might have a little conversation tonight that kind of follows with what Corey was talking about last week when he was talking about community and how important it is to have that group in your life. And so we're going to go with that and talk about friends in honor of the Friends Reunion. I don't know if you know that. So excited. Yeah. No, not yet. So, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. We make life fun here. I don't know if you all knew that. So, anyway, if it's okay with you guys, I figured I would talk about friends, what kind of friends we have in our life who are speaking to us and speaking life to us, and the kind of friends that we are and how that affects our recovery. Is that okay? All right, good. So don't forget, I'm okay with interaction. I don't like thinking I'm all alone. That's why my poor husband, I'm like, is this okay? Do you think this is okay? And he always has to answer me. But anyway, I want you to think, I'm going to talk really quick about some friends that probably we don't need in our life to count as true friends. And then I'm going to, in a minute, bring up some of my friends who best represent that true friendship to me, that godly relationship. So they're on standby. They know. It's not going to be a surprise. But anyway, I want you to think about your friends for a minute. And I want you to think about if they're really your friends. Because sometimes we have people in our lives who we've just kind of kept around just because they've always been there. Maybe they're there out of habit. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we feel guilty if we don't have them in our lives. They've just always been there. Some friends we have that we may call our ride or die friends. And, I'm going to tell you this, and these people who will come up on stage will tell you this too. When we hear the thing ride or die, we're like, okay, wait a minute. I've got your back. I'm with you. But why do we have to die? One. And is that really the best thing to do? And will there be food? Because we may get hungry along the journey. Yeah. See, I knew she would. But when you think about them, really think, are these people my friends? And I'm not talking about the friends you have on Facebook or how many followers you have, how many likes you get, when you post something or anything like that. I'm talking about really the people who pour into your life and that you're pouring into too. So I love Google. It is my best friend because I am a researcher, and if there's anything in life I like to do is to find out new things and fun facts. Adam and I have, like little competitions of who can find a fun fact the fastest, and tell each other, all our useless knowledge. It's great fun. But the Webster's Dictionary version or definition of friend is a person who has a strong liking for and trust in another person. All right, kind of bland. So if you look at that, kind of all have friends. I like a lot of people. And one thing that I have a hard time with is I love friends. I love to be a part of people's lives. My problem is I get very emotionally attached. So if you're not ready to be my friend, then, be clear about that because, I will love you to death. Probably honestly to death. You're like, okay, stop. The second definition is a person who is not an enemy. Really? I'm kind of like, well, duh. And I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but even I was like, okay, no brainer. But a true friend, and this is where our little brain's going to start chugging, a true friend is someone who has your back no matter what. Okay, there's a lot of people who have our backs. Let's keep going. They watch out for you to make sure you aren't in danger. So that ride or die, that's kind of gone because we don't want anybody to die. They will never purposely lead you into making decisions that aren't good for you. A true friend will always have your best interest at heart. Well, so when I started thinking about that, I was like, okay, maybe the friendship list is kind of shrinking a little about, who's really in my circle and what that really means as a friend. So I don't know about you guys, but I do know that when we start working on our recovery, we start looking at things differently, right? We realize that we can't, but he can, and we're going to let him because we realize that, our life is a mess, and this new way of living, well, that's starting to work out for us, right, in a pretty good way. We're making better decisions. Things aren't as hard or stressful as much because we're looking at things in a different way. And sometimes when those things start to change, we see some of the people in our lives a little differently. I don't know if you all do, but I did. I'm going to take a minute and talk about friends who probably aren't the way that they should have been. And I'm going to start with my little friend Job. And I promise that we're not going to hang out with the negative as much as the positive because I really want you to hear my friends talk because I just love them. They're crazy and they're loud and they're funny and I just love them to death. But anyway, we're going to talk about my buddy Job. And a lot of you may know Job. In the Bible, he's in the Old Testament. And so Job is a guy who had everything in the world happen to him. I mean, he lost his family, he lost his fortune, he lost, livestock. He actually had boils on him. I mean, he was just struggling. And a lot of times we like to look at Job to find inspiration for us when we're feeling bad and how God shows his glory to change things for the better in Job's life. But what I want to do is take a minute and look at the people who were speaking into Job's life, if we can. Are you good with that? All right. I thank you for the two people who are excited about this. Thanks, Michael. He also is a friend. So I'm going to start in the first, and I promise to hurry this along a little more than you think. You're like, God, land your plane, honey. So we're going to start with Job 1 at the beginning. He was a man of complete integrity who feared God and turned away from evil. Job was the greatest man among all of the people of the East. Okay, so it's important to start here. Job was a really cool dude. He was so nice. I mean, he's just nice. He's a great man. So you would think that the people in his life would be great, right? He had so much integrity that, when the chips fell, not only were people going, so was Job, right? Okay, so here's the start of Job's troubles. He lost his livestock, he lost his kids, blah, blah, blah. So Job is like, okay, I don't know why this is happening, but God is great. Well, then the second test of his life happened. That's when he actually had a physical illness. He got sick. And we go in the second chapter, and here's the first person to speak into Job's life. It's his wife. You would think your wife, your spouse, is that one person that you can depend on, right? Let's look. Job 2, verse 9. And his wife said to him, "Are you still holding on to your integrity? Curse God and die." Babe, I promise never to tell you to curse God and die. I mean, who does that, right? I mean, it's easy to look at that one and be like, what the heck? Now, I'm not giving her slack because still, who tells people to curse God and die? But she also was affected by what was going on because she also was, she lost everything too. Okay, but still, Job's a man of integrity. So, if you are in a relationship, if your spouse looks at you and makes you question your faith, who doesn't pray with you, who challenges your integrity or sobriety, that may be a problem. Good thing is we have a class for that at 8 o'clock, room 209. Selfish plug. But anyway, okay, so there's problem number one of what negative is going in Job's life. So Job's like, yeah, I still love God. I'm not making that light. Please don't think that. But then he has a buddy, Eliphaz. It's a fun name. Job 4, 3 through 5 reads, "Indeed, you have instructed many and have strengthened weak hands. Your words have steadied the one who was stumbling and braced the knees that were buckling. But now that this has happened to you, you've become exhausted." All right, that starts good. Job, you're a good dude. You have helped so many people. Again, wouldn't you think he'd have people speaking into his life right now? But then Eliphaz goes on, Job 5:8, to read, "However, if I were you, I would appeal to God and would present my case to him." All right, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how many times that I've heard when I have been going through a hard time, "Well, if I were you, I would do this. What you need to do is this. Well, you haven't even thought about this. If it was me, I would be doing this." Well, one thing we learn in recovery, and one thing that is always probably good to think about, is we know good and well we can't fix anybody. We couldn't fix ourselves. Only God can do that, right? So there's strike number 2. All right, now we have buddy Bildad. And I'm starting to think his problem is he has friends with weird names, and that might be the problem. If you have a weird name, you can't be my friend. I'm just kidding. But we have old buddy Bildad. And in Job 8:2 and then 5 through 7, Bildad speaks and he says, "How long will you go on saying these things? Your words are a blast of wind." Nice. "But if you earnestly seek God and ask the Almighty for mercy, if you are pure and upright, then he will move even now on your behalf and restore the home where your righteousness dwells. Then, even if your belongings were modest, your final days will be full of prosperity." Well, he actually was speaking a little prophetic word to him, but he wasn't nice about it at all. So here's you've got Bildad, the impatient friend. How long are you going to keep whining? OMG, the drama. Can you just stop? I mean, how many times have we heard when we're going through a hard time, or when you're working on your recovery, or when addiction gets hard and you just need somebody to talk through that with you? How many times have you heard, I mean, just stop already. It's not that hard. Good grief, just don't do it. It's causing you a problem. Don't do it. It doesn't work that way, does it? No. So, and the sad thing is sometimes even after we've been in recovery for a while, we forget. We forget those first steps when things work out well. So, again, are these the words we want to have spoken to our lives? He has another buddy, one more buddy, that is in this book, Zophar. Again, yeah, right? Problems. Zophar is just great. And he starts speaking to him. "Should this abundance of words go unanswered and such a talker be acquitted? Should your babbling put others to silence so that you can keep on ridiculing with no one to humiliate you?" Great friends. I'm saying again, he was a man of integrity. If these people really knew him and were really living what God had already taught them, would they have really been talking to him this way? But that's just me. "You have said, 'My teaching is sound, and I am pure in your sight.' But if only God would speak and open his lips against you, he would show you the secrets of wisdom, for true wisdom has 2 sides. Know then that God has chosen to overlook some of your iniquity." All right, so now you've got Zophar, the judgmental one. Something you've done. You're just not telling us. You're too ashamed. You don't want to tell us. I mean, he's not a Pharisee yet, but I mean, if you go in the Old Testament, it might as well be that. I know the law, it's something you've done. And then, I mean, how long are you going to keep babbling? I am so thankful that my friends don't keep doing that to me, because I do babble. But here he is. I'm not pointing fingers, but you're a problem. You're a real problem. That's no way to speak to anybody. And it just started me thinking of how many times I've had friends in my life like this that I thought were friends, that I've tried to pour into, but this is what I've gotten back in return. And it leaves you sad, and it leaves you feeling alone, worse than you did when you didn't feel good to begin with. And it makes you think that nobody is there. Going on, and I promise to hurry, Eliphaz and Bildad again show their lovely sides. And in Job 15, Eliphaz says, does a wise man answer with empty counsel or fill himself with the hot east wind? I mean, didn't he just call him a blowhard twice? I mean, should he argue with useless talk or with words that serve no good purpose? But you even undermine the fear of God and hinder meditation before him. Your iniquity teaches you what to say, and you choose the language of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, not I. Your own lips testify against you. So now we're unsympathetic. Now we're just tired of hearing him. Bildad goes on to say in chapter 18, how long until you stop talking? I would not be friends with these people anymore. I'm just telling you. How long are you going to keep talking until you stop talking? Show some sense, and then we can talk. Why are we regarded as cattle, as stupid in your sight? You who tear yourself in anger, should the earth be abandoned on your account, or a rock be removed from its place? So you've got friends that after a while, and they don't realize what's going on in your life, they just don't want to hear it anymore. You know, it's got to be your fault. And again, I'm like, how well did you know him? This was a man of integrity. This is somebody that, you know, he didn't have those friends like, let me help you pray. Let me help you go to God with that. Because I don't know what's going on. You're a great guy. You helped me move my sheep one day. It was awesome, you know. I mean, none of that. It was just, you know, oh my God, would you stop? Okay. So, you know, if they aren't speaking life, love, and truth into you, maybe they're not your friends. Maybe they're people you know, and maybe we take the word friend lightly. One last time, Zophar in chapter 20 is probably my least friend. This is why my unsettling thoughts compel me to answer. Because I'm upset. Okay. I have heard a rebuke that insults me, and my understanding makes me reply. How many times have you gotten in an argument on Facebook because somebody put a rant and it compelled you because it was offensive? Or, you know, you have somebody who is argumentative with you all the time. So I think we can learn that when we respond out of anger, and I know I'm a redhead, so yes, I've worked very hard on my anger. But when you respond out of anger or offense, things don't usually work out the way they're supposed to. But good news. So at the end of the book, God finally steps in and he reminds Job and his friends of just what he can do and how great he is. And he actually challenges them. He actually asks them, are you really going to challenge me and my justice? So Job is like, oh, no, God, my bad. I'm really sorry. You are God, and what you do, there's a purpose, there's a reason. You know, everything is great. And Job actually, this man of integrity who kept that through the whole lesson here, he actually prayed for forgiveness for his friends and for himself. And so because he did that, God was like, okay, I'll be there for them. What a great man, and what somebody to look to as people who don't pour into your life that you still try to pour into other people. But so I told you I was going to invite some people up here with me, some friends up here with me, and we're going to talk about true friendships and true... Oh my gosh, I love these guys. So I have up here with me Adam, hey. Jana, Eva's working her microphone, and Mary Beth. I know they're so great. Come on, you can be a little more excited about that. Yeah. So these guys are people in my life that I feel represent the kind of friendships that God desires for us to have on earth. And I asked them to come up here, and they've been such good sports about it through the whole time, even though up into the 9th hour I was telling Eva exactly what we were doing, and that's okay. She is the crazy one. These people have permission to speak into my life, and I have permission to speak in theirs. And we're going to get a little bit more into permission. Why do you have permission? If you've got a feeling, tell them that. Well, we're going to learn that a little bit deeper, and this goes into a true friendship and that true friend, the definition that we gave earlier. So I'm going to start with my best friend.
Oh, it's me.
I thought they would start.
I thought she was going to start with Google.
So, yeah, my best friend, this is Adam, my husband. Yeah. So since the time I met Adam, he's just fun. And we just had a blast the first time we met. And we just...
Fun fact, if you don't like us, she introduced us,
okay,
so it's her fault.
I was getting there when I introduced her. Thanks, babe. Anyway, it's competition. Anyway, so Adam and I started out actually as friends. I thought, well, he's cute, he's funny, he'll make a good friend. And then he became a little bit more because with that friendship, we developed into just an intimacy of someone who can really confide into somebody and talk to somebody. And I did say it, sorry. And but anyway, we've also challenged for better or for worse in sickness and in health.
I said I was sorry.
No, both of us have. It's not just you. Both of us have. But we've put that to the challenge. And we have a couple of verses that kind of speak to our friendship. So, Adam, I'm going to ask you to read those verses, and then I would like you to kind of talk about what these verses mean to you and our relationship, our friendship.
Got it. So, Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 10. 2 are better than 1 because they have a more satisfying return for their labor. For if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and does not have another to lift him up.
And then the next one. I know.
Ecclesiastes 4:12. And though one can overpower him, who is alone, who can resist him? A cord of three strands is not quickly broken.
He's having a hard time because I wrote this. Two can resist.
She did. If I had them hold it, I could read it.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that's a sign of old age.
I know. I'm working on it. So there is no way that we would have survived the 10 years.
I know.
10 years. Yeah, that's what we said. 10 years if it wasn't for God and being that third strand. We have really put all of that to the test. If you can think of it, we've about been through it. But without God, we wouldn't have made it. So she's my buddy. She is my companion. She is my rock. She's my friend. She's someone I can go to. So she's not just my wife. She's someone that I can share anything with.
So we'll say too that. Sorry, you got me all choked up, baby. No, I'm just kidding. So I'll say too that I love these ladies, but this is my best friend. He knows more things about me than anybody ever would.
She's not running for president.
But, and as we have a relationship, and especially when that we're married, that's the way it should be. It is not to say, and if you see, there's not another guy up here, not that I don't have guy friends, Eric, Corey, Bobby, they are all very special to me, in the group that we have, and we all talk about life, and they also pour into me and to Adam, but they don't know anything that Adam doesn't know. And that is where the difference, I think, with us and having that God as that third strand is to build something so strong that we make that team that nobody can break. And trust us, Satan has tried to get in. Satan has tried to ruin, our marriage and our relationship, even our friendship, because we put the trust to the test. But without having, we always had God to pull us back in and to pull us together. So, thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I love you.
I love you too.
It's on camera too.
Aww.
Hi, Amy. My name is Eva.
So next, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to, no, not Jenna yet. I'm going to talk to Mary Beth. So Mary Beth she is not my oldest, but she's my
That's
long
really
time.
what she said when she asked me to do this. You're my oldest friend. I said, thanks, Amy.
Yeah. So she's my friend that I've had the longest, probably one of my longest friends that I've had. And we've been through a lot together, different churches, different relationships, different spouses. And, we've watched our kids grow up together. We've been through, we've mourned things together, and we've celebrated a lot of things together. And it's true, Mary Beth is actually instrumental in Adam and I meeting. So if you don't like this, it's her fault. You can fuss at her later.
I love them.
So Mary Beth, will you read your verse for us and tell me how you feel like that talks about a good, godly, true relationship that we have?
So Proverbs 27:9 says, oil and perfume make the heart glad. So does the sweetness of a friend's counsel that comes from the heart. I think that comes from the heart part is the most important part of that verse to me. I have a lot of friends. Like Amy said, I am the same as she is. Like, I love everybody, and I will be your best friend the minute I meet you. We'll be friends on Facebook. I have your number. We'll be going to Disney World next week. Like, no joke. But that comes from the heart part. That's the meat of that verse for me. Because while I have a whole lot of friends and I love everybody, really, I don't let people just speak from their heart and take it lightly, because sometimes that hurts if people are being honest and truthful. That's not always what you want to hear. And I think that's why Amy and I have remained friends. I mean, we went years without seeing or talking to each other at one point because I moved and came back, and then as soon as I came back, it was like nothing had ever happened. We were just best friends again. And that's because she speaks to me from her heart, and I always try to do the same for her. And it's not always easy, and it's not always comfortable. But when you have a real, true friend that you know is going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, that's a rare thing. Yeah. Not always easy, but you need that in your life. So when you find those people, hold on to them.
Mary Beth and I had a moment. Earlier in the year, we went to the Freedom Conference, and something had happened where God had spoken to me, and I knew that I have a form of heart disease, and I've been in heart failure twice. And, of course you pray for God to do what God's going to do, but God plainly spoke to me, Amy, I'm not going to heal you from this, but you are going to live, love, and laugh at life, and you are going to live it to the fullest until it's your time to go. And I was telling Adam about it. My nosy friend over here, Mary Beth, she heard it. It bothered her, and she loved me enough to say, I want you to make sure that you have prayed about that and that you're not just listening to Satan. Because it was Mary Beth, I knew where her heart was. And because of that, I was like, but I have prayed about it a lot, and I'm okay with it, and I feel a peace about it, so I want you to too. And that's one of those conversations that you're talking about that's not easy. She could have been, so far. Oh, you are not, just stop it. And I'd be like, listen here, because I'm not as nice as Job.
And that was a very hard conversation to have, but in my heart, kind of selfish. That's my friend. Yeah. I don't want her to accept an answer that's not truly from God. And I know that Satan tries to derail us all the time. So for me to go to her and say that, she knows my heart.
Yeah.
So that's just one example. We've had lots of those conversations.
Yeah. We have fun too. All right, next, since I've talked about my longest time friend, I'm going to talk about my youngest and my newest friend, my girl Jana over here. I met Jana for the first time actually at my house at small group. So, shameless small group plug. All of these people have been or are currently in a small group with me. So, that's where you find your real love and life and everything. So, yeah, sweet little Jana, I don't know what it was. I just fell in love with her the first time I saw her. She's fun and she's sassy, and she liked me back, even though I'm a hugger and she's not. And yeah, so she decided to get poison sumac this time, so I didn't have to hug her. The best thing about Jana is I take seriously the role that I have in her life, to be able, I take seriously the trust that she puts into me, to be able to speak to her, to help her, I don't know, have answers for life and for marriage, and to talk about God with. And, she knows that, but she also puts a fire in me because she's young and she's sassy and she gets excited about things, and it makes me excited and thinking that I could do things like lift 250 pounds, and all that. But it's not true, I can't. But anyway, Jana has some verses. And then, Jana, same question for you, if you will. What does our friendship exemplify in your verses?
1 Timothy 4:12. Let no one look down on you because of your youth, but be an example and set a pattern for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in moral purity. Titus 2:3-5. Older women, similarly, are to be reverent in their behavior, not malicious gossips, nor addicted to much wine. Teaching what is...
Sorry, I'm not reverent. I love Jesus, but I can't.
But you do this, teaching what is right and good, so they may encourage the young women to tenderly love their husbands and their children, to be sensible, pure makers of a home where God is honored, good-natured, being subject to their own husbands, so that the word of God will not be dishonored. So again, yes, I met Amy at her house, which was a little intimidating because when my husband had told me we were going to do a small group, and I was like, who are these people? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, you don't know what group we're going to? And he's like, no, it's just a lot of random people. And I was like, great. My first, you hear of a small group, supposed to be all your best friends. And I was like, what age group are they? And he's like, I don't know. So, of course, what we do when we don't know, have all the questions. I go to Facebook, I look up her name, and I look at her profile and her husband's profile, and I'm like, they are not my age. How am I supposed to connect with them?
Right.
Well, I'm just being real here.
This is taking a
real
different turn.
people with real problems, and you showed me
off the friend stage.
real love. You showed me the real love. Anyways, so as we're going to her house, I'm Facebook stalking her, and of course putting these assumptions in my head. And of course, she tries to hug me the first time I see her. So I was like, But after a couple of weeks of this freedom study, I just started to be able to be vulnerable with her, not necessarily with the group, but I could start seeing that there was some connection there. I was kind of starting to just want to hear what she had to say. Sometimes other people would chime in. I'm like, no, I want to listen to Amy. And so I started realizing that my heart was growing fond to her. And so that was kind of the first thing that happened. And then through freedom, a lot of things came up, of course. Who knew I was a prideful person? Who knew that I was bitter? So these things started coming up, and I was like, wow, I just moved here to Knoxville. I don't have anybody to unleash all the things that I'm feeling, all the things that I'm really wrestling with God. Because when you're in your freedom and you're learning how to pray, you're learning how to process things that you may be going through, you need someone else to really just help you with it and help you how to pray, help you even say, like, you are struggling with this, I've struggled with this too. So I needed that person. I had just moved to Knoxville, and so I couldn't find that person. So I was like, well, Amy's my leader. Let me just call her up and see if she's busy. And so we went for coffee, and that was our first interaction. Of course, like, I threw up everything on her on that coffee. Like, it came out of nowhere. I didn't throw up coffee. I threw up all of everything that I was going through with her. And it was literally God's timing and God's divine, because the next week was probably one of the hardest weeks of my life. And she was there through that. And she was literally the best friend in just a week of me being vulnerable and me trusting her. We built that foundation in a week, y'all. God can create something beautiful in a week.
Amen.
Aren't you excited to follow that?
Not really. Thanks, Jana.
I'm glad I started.
Yeah.
Gotta bring it in.
I just love these guys so much, because that's what we do. That's what we do. We go through the hard stuff together, good and bad.
Oh, Corey.
You know he needs it.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks. You're such a good guy.
So I'm going to go to my girl Eva. And man, do I love Eva. She is Phoebe. She is Phoebe Boucher. She is. So I actually met Eva at Celebrate. She was getting ready to give her testimony. And the best thing I love most about Eva, you know what I'm going to say. But Eva was so excited about everything that she had accomplished in her recovery that she was so proud to show in the yuck to get to the good. And so that's just her. That's her life. And she is unadulterated. Here is the junk, but here is the great stuff too. And her 90 miles an hour attitude just makes me want to say, breathe so much. But that's what we do for each other. We probably challenge each other the most in a good way. We don't, oh yeah, you feel this way. But I mean, Eva looks at the world a certain way, and I've looked at things a different way. So we remind each other to take a breath when something's going on, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Take a breath. God, Satan is the chaos. God is the still waters. So Eva's got a verse, and it's your turn, girl.
My verse with Amy, which I love you very much, is Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens and influence another through discussion. And yes, I did meet Amy and Adam through Celebrate when I was getting ready to do my testimony. If you haven't given your testimony, generally you meet with them first and they edit it for you, which is great. And they never stopped with me. Like, it wasn't like, okay, yeah, you can go on stage, you can do this, and then that was it. Like, they stayed my friends. And the thing that I love about Amy and Adam the most, I'm a person that, like, I know how to be a true friend now. Like, I didn't have friends when I was in my addiction. I was talking to them earlier. I had hostages. If you didn't do what I thought you should do, or do what I said, or I was petty and I wasn't your friend, because I was really dark and I was full of a lot of darkness. And through God, I've learned how to be a real friend and how to stick close. And yeah, I'm really, like our pastor says, I'm raw and I'm real, and I shoot it straight with people. And sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not, but I always know from learning from Amy on how to use compassion with my words. Me and Amy are two completely different people, but yet she's still my mini me. I think so. And she's older too. But there was something about Amy that I thought was intimidating to me for a long time in our friendship. But really, it was a quality that I had. I just did not know how to project it. I didn't know how to put that out there. And being friends with Amy, I learned how. And when she says that we challenge each other, we definitely do challenge each other. She challenges me to be, I guess, more like adult and
Grow up, Eva.
she uses me to use the good words, but not all the words I want to use, but it's okay. Adam will let me use those other words.
Uncensored friendships.
Brother from another mother. So, yes, I don't know what I could have done sometimes without Amy and Adam. You know, I'm a person that likes to hang with people. Like, if I hang with people that aren't doing good, then I'm not going to do good.
As iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron, you know. They have a really healthy marriage. Ugh. But I love it. And, you know, those are the things that I look for. Stop it. Those are the things I look for, you know. I want my kids, you know, like, I want my kids to have healthy relationships. So I bring people that have healthy relationships around us, you know. And I just love them. That's all I got.
It's beautiful.
I know.
Eva says that I challenge her, and all of these people challenge me in different ways. Eva challenged me one time because, like I said, she's 90 miles an hour, and when she is going, she is full throttle. And she was doing something, she was just talking, and she was like, man, Amy, God is moving in this way and that way, and I'm getting ready to take this person here and that person here, and I told this person I would watch their kid while they were in rehab, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, holy cow, God, would I do that? Would I just put my life together or on hold for somebody? 2 weeks later, I found out, yep, I sure would, if God made that call, and that's because I feel that Eva opened me up to that.
But I didn't have no kids, she did.
No, but I ended up having you know, Jana says, you know, that she was able to be vulnerable. Because of her vulnerability, I was able to be vulnerable, and I was able to tell my husband and her, and you guys too, a secret that I had been keeping for about almost 30 years. You know, so I think that we all just, that's the one thing. We don't have time. We're running late, so I'm going to cut it short. We had some questions just to bat around as a group, but I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and I know they'll answer this. What is the one thing that you say keeps us together?
God.
Yeah. So,
I was on it.
God is you are on it. You get the sticker.
You won the prize.
God first is first in our lives, and then we're able to be there for each other and to minister in a way that only He can allow us to. So God is our best friend. God is our homie. If you don't know God, they're still talking. Shush. This is the important part. If you don't know God, talk to any of us. There are a lot of other people here that you can talk to, because I guarantee you, if you start with Him as your best friend, everything else is going to fall into place. It may be weird at first, but everything else is going to fall into place.